Who's affirming, who's negating?
I'm negating.
So what school is negating? Strake is negating?
Yes. Negating.
Wait, that's yes. Yeah.
I don't know. I believe so.
My email's my paradigm being upended.
Same with you, Dino?
I'm ready when you are.
Everyone good?
Oh shoot. My phone ran out of battery. Do the timer.
Yeah.
Did you send the app?
Yeah. It's the, yeah.
Alright. Charge it.
Wait, I haven't gotten that.
Is your email the intent show?
Yeah.
Have you authenticated?
Yeah, I can get back to one.
I got it like 2 minutes ago, bro.
What, the authentication?
No, the app.
Are you on like the same Wi-Fi? Because if like you're on like.
Oh, I could just airdrop it.
I'm on your
Wait,
own.
I can airdrop
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I was on your own. Bro.
We're also getting bottom speaker to stick.
See, this is what you got.
No, they're just good.
Why, thank you.
Overview: one Afghan theory with fairness to vote drop the very competing in terms of or else the Afghan check against independent abuse makes it impossible to win. The brown F theory outweighs A. The negative has the ability to win their shell and beat back the F shell, whereas it's impossible for me to beat back their shell and my shell and two are B. They can kill the Afghan defense and go for substance or go to go over one hard from one shell. The F needs to sit down on one argument to win. When the two are prefer structural winning arguments about the average nice they apply to each round, so they're more likely to establish communal norms and thus are the best of competing in terms, which also means it proves one theory. Two F theory is no via A would be impossible to check as abuse because and 6.2 good all on theory distance and 9.1 theory I will be isol first of all C negative exclusive access to T so with it also get RBS they can never be responsive no these the access between 200 ample time to win with theory and substance is impossible for the have to overwhelm the negative worst theory and RBS also all only rectifies the side bias also drop the video on after use is half corners insufficient to win both theory and substance only absent from only back the FS no ability to check these three no paradigm issues in the 200 that means it's like reject one theory and air negative theory and theory bad substance for theory must all be in the one and Z prefer 8 times 2 gives just good time advantage to read a bunch of paradigm issues spread out the 2 which is awful since they all functions that constrain my ability to win the theory be norming debaters only read bad paradigm because they know it makes it hard to work hard on theory not to actually determine what issues have the most fair educational theory basic force debate to start early in one I mean force to their best arguments otherwise they waste their time for nibs are voting issue A on triple nibs are run to the bottom for you I have to respond to them which means that I can't win off them the time they can just dump nibs on the 1 and 10 and collapse on 1 and the 2 where I have to respond to all of them only also means they get in for the better time trade-off C on educational sufficient responses on the would warrant the negative not going through which means that we never learned about the intricacies of the RB 5 presumption refers to A statements are more often to their to point clause i.e. if I tell you my name is Arjun you believe it unless for otherwise also B points that we can't function in a world where everything else would prove also C points that this first degree time and you should remember later speeches because it proves that you can actually have argumentation time and D points that the one that sees reactive you say you always put in form perfect strategy you can see now 6 point is the negative not contest both the standard in the world by A force me to win my frame is relevant and win the frame day and win offense with a 3 to 1 times QB more professional one can make issue very rather than both to see reject all answers to their argument you solve all objectives by picking specific rules about not picking the only one that links offense framework. These terms consistent with the Kanji system of equal honor freedom. AGC is a cancellation event and is capable to engage in any enterprise is to ipso facto engage in AC even when agents attempt to assess whether they should participate in agents that are closed in the operational front factual assessment. Thus agents will be able to pursue the ends independent of the churches or of others or also reasoning won't be produced in action or won't be practical. That trust based universalizable ends A on the absent universal ethics morally becomes arbitrary for action making ethics usually be arbitrary reason principles like reason apply to everyone since they're independent of human experience and see any non-universal norm justifies someone's ability to pretend your own as i.e. if I want you if I want to eat ice cream I was recommend that otherwise the others may affect my pursuit and that demand my envy value be recognized by others also means the universalizability access scientific and base fairness it's impossible to willing violation of freedom since deciding to do would be compatible with access logically until a willing value of your own freedom constraints are necessary to retain the value of freedom which applies no one cannot hinder the freedom of others to clarify one the standard evaluates actions based on their intrinsic nature not foreseen consequences A to account for all foreseen impacts would prevent action because individuals become morally culpable for all actions and safety affairs not just those that factor into will be induction historically because of realizing the assumption that nature will hold uniform and that we can only use the conclusion to inductive reasoning based on observation of past events and skip the C point and prefer standard one performativity one freedom is the key to process justification for arguments willing that we should be willing that we should abide by ethical theory that we own ourselves in the first place that's also incoherent to justify standard without first willing that we can pursue ends free from others and two ethical theory must be theoretically legitimate interpretation of the word off framework is which is a top value argument about how to define the terms of as you prefer this definition A resources to be a focus on evidence and statistics reward criticism must be remembered which increases the disparities between levels and makes also with huge evidence found to continue debate results is because it is one without any purpose that any analytical arguments are required key to fairness is to equalize the things will be real education any understanding quantitatism is key to understand the law of real world because it was abide by infallible sacrifices in the Constitution Germany proves group team the Germany basic law says the right to use the basis of the state private legislate to put in explicit quantity terms citizens cannot give themselves a law that turns into mere objects and skip the C point this is key to fairness and education since topically controls are constraints of pure and voters fairness is basic competitive activity government rules you can't reproduce the better debating they run structure disputes of fairness to gateway issue for subsidiary and education schools one to make so as education values so only education has out of effect these arguments proceed other philosophical justifications but are not reason to drop the negative only framing issues not offense. One I affirm result the United States ought to eliminate subsidies for fossil fuels counterclass and because they don't agree with my general thesis or our message reduce on my favorite also defend normal means for the question of implementation for this that's also you can just got evidence for that one the country's freedom necessitates so that with the protection of the environment since each is not able to employ usable things to fully achieve one's purpose the production of emissions involves a contradiction in the willing after 12 if freedom requires that you decide what purpose to the destruction of land is incoherent and cannot invoke freedom to justify destroy such resource the destructive dissipation of non-sustainable use of the land constitutes a transgression of freedom such as a radically inconsistent with the condition of which the greatest use of freedom is possible and fossil fuels cause environmental degradation. Towards 16, the Department of Defense has also turned a connection to states global time teachable aggravating problems such as poverty, social defense, and environmental degradation with political institutions that threaten disabilities. So there's also further shown a connection between the environmental crisis and violent conflicts. And two, fossil fuel subsidies are antithetical to that nature. Amendment 17. U.S. federal and state governments have in the fossil fuel industry more than $20 billion each year in subsidies to sustain and expand their operation. Every dollar spent something the industry takes it further from achieving mission goal and maintaining a stable climate. Policies, goals, and approaches to the task of their continue to support fossil fuel production, otherwise efforts to transition to a clean energy economy and bold and rob the public of resources to do so. Removing subsidies should be the first priority, and facilitating the usage of fossil fuels that violates the categorical imperative for Loma 19. An additional aspect of the capital legacy universally not only in space but through time, which points to the intergenerational aspect of climate change. Fossil fuels cause benefits of accumulative groups. These benefits are arise primarily in the short term, medium term, and are so received by the present generation, but for the cost fall in future generations. This includes all future generations. Absolutely in one self-interest and continuing practice unsustainable practices that are harming the environment, and would treat future persons and means rather than ends. And under view one rule about one prefer a comparing world's world paradigm. A truth is equals reciprocity. Nelson. Truth statement model imposes an absolute burden of proof on the actors and negative actors. A range of strategies sufficient to deny our ability to make the truth statements prove quality does not exist. That proves the negative with functionally infinite gravitating rules. Which is nice. Skip our ability to make normal things is irrelevant desirability, and reciprocity is key to fairness and ensure equal rights to laws and guidelines to the jurisdiction. You can't jurisdiction decide who's the better creator. Theory arguments out order to create honor simple words on the absence because it's never has been good. And B debate has no consensual rules. Every debate is functionally a new version of the table. States on arguments for arguments. Because your rules because debate has the different rules than every other one. Enoch. One may suggest a plain chess. So much reading for checkmating is not being true. We define variation of chess with different rules, ways of winning. Whenever you play chess, you play these are cooked at games. If it doesn't seem you have reason to win, it's not to engaging in some activity sufficient for a reason to aim. And that's good to aim. And now skip the D point and D. And since the C point, D point, reciprocal burden truth doesn't pose an unfair burden on the greatest to require debaters to prove statements true. Definitely true or false. However, we assume statement true until proven false, which makes it unreciprocal.
Cool. 3 minutes, you good?
Want me to?
Oh yeah.
You
Can you send a new job?
Sure.
You have a round right now. You have had it for like 20 minutes. And can you start the round here?
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, babe.
I just got back to
It's okay. Yeah, I know. We were blasting. Sorry.
Hold on, sorry.
Sitting.
I'll go to Gmail. I'll let you know how to.
I changed the wrong dog. I think I got everything. If there's something else that I missed, just tell me.
Okay, cool. I'm just refreshing. Is my phone already stand by the way?
Yeah, you
Thanks. One sec. Okay, let me just download. Alright, cool. 3 minutes. You ready? Starting now. Okay, what is agency?
Sure. So we would say that agency is the ability to set and pursue your own ends.
Alright, so how can we distinguish between people like, or actually, what does it mean to like set and pursue an end?
Sure. So we would say that take an end, right? That is your goal.
Okay,
And you
is a
set
dog an
means to
agent?
pursue those ends, right? So there's a process of.
Okay, is a dog an agent?
We would say that. Well, I mean, like the app would say that agency is considered humans. So I mean, like you could say that like a dog is an agent, but we would say that a dog has a desire as a reason why a dog would not be an agent.
Okay, how much do you have to be able to set and pursue an end to be an agent?
I don't understand.
Like do you have to like to any degree like be able to set and pursue any end?
It's not like a question of scalar. It's a question of like if you have the ability to set and pursue any instance. I would say like I would.
Are there any operators in the app?
No, the app doesn't say that like a dog can set and pursue ends when they want to get water, but they can't set and pursue ends when they want to get food. It's like agency is not
Okay,
something that
what
you
is
have
a
in
nib?
some instances and you don't have in other instances.
Alright, Arjun, what's a nib?
A nib is a necessary but insufficient burden.
Oh, okay. Why is that bad?
Sure, so those
Or
are-
what's the impact of reciprocity?
Sure, I think the reciprocity, argument was impacted, down below, but it
Okay,
says
why
that-
can't you read nibs?
Well,
I think it's reciprocal if you read nibs too.
But I didn't read names.
Okay, well, you have a 1 AR. So, let's go to the AF gets theory with fairness of the voter. Okay. Why is it impossible for you to win the round?
Because you could treat like, you'd be like infinitely abusive.
What is infinite abuse?
You'd be like, so many abusive arguments.
Okay, so many means infinite.
Yeah.
Alright, so I have 7 minutes to be infinitely abusive.
Yeah, you'd be like infinitely abusive.
That's cool.
I mean, technically a nib is infinitely abusive because there's like.
Are there any arguments that, like, if I don't respond in the 1NC, like, I just lose automatically for?
Like, if you don't respond to the offense and.
Like, I mean, I would, like, okay, I'm saying, like, under, like, absent the framework, I'm saying, like, theory arguments, that if I don't violate, like, nibs bad, what can you extend in the 1 AR to, like, win?
I think that I could stand.
Arjun, I don't want, like, any tricky round, okay, dude? I just want to have a fair round of util versus Kant. Just tell me, like.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna extend the 6 point. It says that neg may not contest both the standard and the vote
Okay,
ballot.
okay, if I don't violate either nibs or a voting issue, and the neg may contest both the standard and roll of the ballot,
Okay.
absent your framework and offense, like, under, like, Kantian system of equal and outer freedom, what can you extend?
There's like nothing. There's
Okay,
no a priori.
what did you extend?
I accept reasons why you presume I have.
Presume math, why?
Sure, so the 8 point was 7463 times 2. You should prefer
So,
later speeches because they allow for
463.
argumentation against the arguments instead of just
What
randomly
does that
justifying
mean?
arguments. Sure, so you can respond to my arguments instead of me randomly justifying arbitrary claims without responding to your arguments. And then the B point, and then technically the D point was the one that sees reactive, means that you can create a perfect one to every after every.
Okay, anything else was extended?
Nah, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Okay, cool. Who's Kant?
Kant's a philosopher.
Nice. Okay, 5 minutes of prep, starting now.
First name.
Okay. That's a voting issue. Is there anything in the app framework that can trigger permissibility?
Dude, no, there's nothing in the after without trigger permissibility.
Okay, so you're not gonna trigger permissibility.
I mean, like, not independently on the app framework.
If I okay, you know that's cool.
If you like read Scap, then like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm saying if I don't trigger permissibility, are you gonna trigger permissibility in the 1 AR? Arjun?
No.
Okay. I'll hold you to that. Do you have any reason why affirming is harder in the speech type implicated to affirming being harder?
I think that presumption arguments are reasons for affirming is harder.
Can you make that implication?
I think it's pretty logical.
Disagree.
I disagree.
I do. How does the jurisdiction argument for reciprocity, like what's the jurisdiction argument?
Referring to what?
Like on the bottom for like AT truthicity?
Wait, which argument are you talking about?
In the under review roll of the ballot?
Yeah, but like.
Bro, you say it impacts the jurisdiction, reciprocity. Are you gonna answer my question?
I don't know what you're talking
Okay, look to your under review roll of the ballot, right?
Yeah, I'm looking.
There. Like like right under the second card.
Oh, right, yes. So it's a question of like, you can't decide who's the better debater if they read arguments that bot or negate, because I can't respond to that.
Okay. Arguable. Have you read this app before?
Not this exact app, but the framework and offense are the same.
Okay. Okay, 107 remaining 3 in case. I'll send it out. Okay, starting on like the like underview thing, like on the top.
The overview?
Yeah, sure.
Is there a specific part?
It's just like an overview to the it's an overview to the like underview / overview thing.
So it's an overview to the overview of the app.
Yeah.
Are you line violating anything?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Okay, 1 and C. This trips.
No, it's finals.
Alright, finals. Okay.
I'm just gonna get airdropped again. I don't know what the fuck is happening.
The doc is sent.
I work. I don't even know.
I had to do this.
You still need it, right?
Yeah. I don't know why you don't.
Okay. Let me know when everybody's good. Cool. Are you all good? So it's gonna be like it's gonna be on the overview and then the like roll the ballot underview and then the offense.
But you're reading ops first, though, right?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. The role of the balance vote for the who best prove the truth of policy of the resolution, the active proof, true and negative proof, false for on first text by picture finding against neither truth of information proof, the true which means a soldier obligation both are vote on the resolution truth policy, always a combination of linking our roles and verifying any role balance versus the external one obey only truth and the interest is supposed to be like proving same true or false argumentation continue by always because you only have the jurisdiction not truth as a chess player says you break the rules for a new game the dog practice responsibility ignore the master practice only makes sense based on truth rules jurisdiction also independent voter medication or anything else because every argument you can see the authority the judge you have fulfilling their jurisdiction but after for better than the negative copy otherwise you should have her against which means it controls the internal infinite because that's usually unfair in order to say I want to fix actually I'm saying external things because are the only this is all which means any more time and more seconds logic any counter roll the value and who comes to the things probably between the truth or if I say I'm moving this is true which means it's a question about truth and these inherent means roll about which are on to my now there's that include any value of extra truth that's more specific roll about excludes all strategy but you're the better for inclusion because every you'll every text is so comprehensive being also strategy your scholarship but roll about truth that's all because you can do what you're good at so can also means better for education because you can debate on anything about it doesn't help anyone always because roll entry implication that other thought experience doesn't do anything that's second off. There is incoherent the values always determine the value of using a clause that would be impossible to value but second you can value 3 because anything else floating out a decision who has actually better so you can be consistent with what the third is that theory doesn't have the better will be the better theory to be able to really benefit the fourth that things you prove true and to be not true and the rule so theory doesn't actually have to because it prove better no not for the people things you prove to be wrong so I know if it's a contrary you say what you can do a better control for income activity but no combat activity with establish rules in the middle competition 6 that theory so doesn't be over in terms of martial battle in terms of the best version in terms of just but 7 separate is paradoxical because the entire times limits argument that use arguments which can see the ability of arguments the first way is no jurisdiction complete judge can only vote on something from their side of the resolution came out which can be debated also said the previous side of the also independently take up the rest of policy arguments because the rest of is not key to accessing the actual ballot as far as the rest of policy just an independent external thing that says that we should be able to access. You could just read auto affirms, which means you can make responses just way between them. Also, there's no reason why the rest of the external auto good. If it doesn't, then maybe you should vote negative. And stuff. Your jurisdiction also education is not a versus it's because they're very valuable, not considered nature in general. So education will be valid, not intrinsically connected. Also, there's not jurisdiction, but second is not the intrinsic provide to win a half on there's no way schools out of fund to be schools, schools, also my school and fund to be. I don't care enough for this. Schools have moved education, much more people didn't do it anyways. This subjective people, different things are education for different people. Some norms objectively better for education now. See, the only useful education critical thing you get for learning from here's the literature and never mind. World fairness not voted for self. Education better that must be universal. Yeah, fairness always situational sex. No matter how much fairness is a possible good for argument. You should be around speech time to speech and time for the being never how you treat fairness because always influenced by external factors like coaching time. There's a fairness unfair because they put on the judge has to how unfair so the other debate on distant people that always is something about your blocking not a real business around because you want to always come out who has less here. They're also found textual unfair because that's the only thing we're given for the wrong which is unpredictable. Also, independently rejecting one of the as far as they have 7 minutes to go for the wrong 6 minutes after predict what the two are going to say. Mail administration also the one sees reference to the one sees abuse because the one sees abuse. This general defensive and you one air theory or one see the arguments as far as also completely react to the abuse strategy. The one see which means it takes the argument. Third up. The greatest conceivable being exists in terms of morality, but first premise one that everything exists in the GC has a potential non-existent because every death condition for the given, for example, bondage close dependence. That's why premise two is that the GC not dependent on any precondition because not being as good as possible because dependent on something. For example, we think that humans are better than cookies, so there be no cookie than a human is not premise that just be a no condition for existence necessarily exists to be all conditions for existence, but if fulfilled, for example, there's no zero more than a step to finish the task than has to finish. Wolf. Honestly, God is greatest conceivable thing exists in our minds. I suppose the GCB only exists that idea in the mind that I can see that being greater than GCB that is supposed to minor reality can lead to contradiction to be no conceivable greater than GCB that GCB cannot exist only mind not reality GCB does not exist in our minds. It can always exist not mind not reality GCB must exist around and except for your own beliefs on structure or faculties or mental factors are only natural things surface adaptation are interests of truth that only believe that GCB have abilities but their only image are partly according to their cognitive faculty we justify in our own judgments. I mean the H also refuting collapse epistemic that believe in the GCB is a practical possible that third regards are very must be some unconscious cause that term is here if it regards the GCB additionally supplies determinism and supports the thing always with emotion that influence subject based on content of like the decision making genetic learning conjunct conjunct which means have no free will GCB will everything influence Pascal's wager we default to believe the GCB is just just doing the GCB's well would infinite mass Rossi following on these GCB's only instrumental bad performative you can consider the arguments of one that without being your first move which means that argument making see the authority of GCB constantly after me that's necessarily hijack your performative because you can be just where have agency the first like the GCB didn't give it to you and this is the standard considering the GCB's will infinitely good is never just getting the must be therefore the GCB must be the sort of thing that some people more good than the GCB to be good at any career which is paradoxical negating exists which is happening right now after departure which means the GCB will the negatives infinitely also eliminating subsidy because it just exists in other words of that you say doesn't have jurisdiction first no under over the refers to a neutron response to aspects into parts equal to aspects not complete arguments to the one there's no violation to the one there's the what is often expanded upon they literally just said nibs which they didn't even extrapolate what necessarily means suppression was which means you shall new response now have seconds here contributions of blue spikes and just droplets rather than one for an automatic battle which makes the one impossible second is that negating are able to have as equal to the first priming spectrum after good side which react which means they put you have even if on the front line you so always be how to meet people discharge my ability because you just you force me to generics until you're ready after other seconds you speak first last you have psychological judge persuading your which means that you frame their own you the last thing they remember the third is such a stage by choosing whatever the framing office is which means that you can just all exclude all background no one you see this link turns everything in underview and overview means like a presumption neglects on theory means inherently hard to myself also means thrive free I means I'm at theory unless you provide darkly I mean it's true being construction also it also means the value there of the one seems to my heart that my side is harder to debate we should recognize that but give me actually and also additionally the value there of the one seems more the key to response because we both have one speech whereas anything else less for the more speech as far as that is necessarily true that means negating is also that better is AC and the one and C and additionally reject one because arguments we give for let's go to the log line. Okay. First, to go to the reasons also my fairness about over the frame, you should reject all ethical frames that must be theory because they all impact fairness education. However, they've never given any justification as why they are uniquely true, which means you should correct these arguments on face and so forth. That should mean that our framing necessarily outweighs yours and GCB's necessary prior question being labeled engaging content, which means that something about a second tailoring objection. You can just tailor back to super specific instance, which means that the framing necessarily fails. And also, you can just be ashmated, which means you can just get on stop being which means HC is something to say capable, which means you should necessarily reject the framing. There's one negative assumption. Also, the independent reason that's why you should get affirmative. We're going to allow. You say true thing tools response how able. There's no better response. People and response just by that. If I'm going to one and see, it's necessarily better as far as that. It's net better for fairness as far as that things like competitive rules, a lot of things like picks, which necessarily come they try to which is necessarily worse for the also you say the links jurisdiction because you decide who's a better debater. It's not a question of deciding who the better debater is. Rather, the only thing in jurisdiction involved on the truth or falsity resolution. Now you say there's no constitutive rule that debate function new or activity just because different things happen. The activity is not a question of actual intrinsic. It's the reason why we have this is the reason why we still have the same speech time that every single round I affirm and I negate, which means those two things are constitutive, which means that which means evidence for affirming is the affirmative that negates the negative. That's something that's intrinsic activity that doesn't change, which means even if small things within the activity change, that means that necessarily takes up their arms. Also, again, a person wants to have no impact on the life. First, something to form a tax base hands in 17. Government measures that benefit all consumer companies possibly something give away in the form of a permanent tax base that possibly unsustainable for taxation is bad. Is to always freedom of autonomy for the recipient income 17. Which is unjust individual more right at the decide they want to help out the free market alternative to international provide to the truly poor. And what else? Yeah, that's cool.
Can you send a new dog?
Oh yeah. Oh, like the only thing I didn't read was like after that. Oh, so like the 2.1.
Okay, so you read everything like before that?
Yeah.
Cool. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, starting now. So, were there any arguments made on the AF framework as a reason for you independently, on the AF overview as a reason for you independently negate?
On the app overview?
Yeah.
Like reasons why like your like overview is bad?
Yeah.
Oh, like we
Like,
never even like spikes or bad arguments. We just
like,
said,
so talk about independent voters on the AF overview.
on the independent app overview proper, there's no like arguments. That's why like you reading like X argument or Y argument means you should lose.
Okay, that's fine. So let's talk about the GCB. So walk me through the warrants for. Okay, so walk me through the premises.
Yeah, sure. So premise one. Okay, like do you want me to like further extrapolate or just reread them too?
No, like explain them.
Oh yeah, sure. So everything exists, and that is not the GCB. That's potential for non-existence because that conditions further existence, which means like, for example, a bottle of Coke is dependent on like plastic because it cannot like exist without plastic in the first place, which means that there must be one thing necessarily to preclude that is not contingent on anything else, because the GCB is not dependent on any preconditions, since it would then not be as great as possible, since the being is dependent or would be greater than it. So like for example, we think humans are greater than Coke because there would be no Coke then if there were no humans.
So can you explain the premise too now?
Yeah, that was the premise too.
Oh, okay.
I should have like told you
Okay,
that was the premise too.
premise 3.
Yeah, so since the GCB has no conditions for its existence, it has to exist insofar as all conditions have been fulfilled, which is like just like how the world works.
That's fine. So is that just what the wolf argument says?
Pardon? No, wolf argument is different.
So what's the wolf argument?
Yeah, sure. So you cannot think of a greater conceivable being than the GCB because it cannot exist only in the mind and non-reality. Since it must exist in reality, the argument is that suppose that it exists as an idea in the mind, then you could conceive of something greater than the GCB. However, that in itself is like contradictory because there cannot be something greater than GCB since that would in itself be the GCB.
Sure. So what's the 2 point?
Okay. To accept your own beliefs, you must track your faculties. But if your mental abilities are the only naturalistic instruments of adaptation, then they're not instruments of truth.
Okay, so you're just reading it. Can you explain it?
Yeah, sure. So only belief that the GCB like cause of their image like with rightly ordered cognitive faculties could be like justified based on our own judgments. Yeah.
Wait. So how does that mean you accept the GCB?
Yeah, sure. So it's a question of like your cognitive faculties being able to justify faith within your judgments, and the mental abilities are only like instruments of adaptation in themselves.
Wait. Why does that mean GCB?
I mean, okay, because answers are self-refuting. That's like the implication of it, which means that the GCB in itself is a belief of a practical postulate.
What is the GCB?
The greatest conceivable being.
So like, do we have like any evidence of like people believing in it or anything?
I don't think there's like one like. Wait, what do you mean people believe? I believe in the GCB.
Sure. So like, other than you, like I don't believe in GCB.
It's not a question. I mean, you probably should. This is like true.
Really?
I mean, it's a true. Well,
Okay. Anyway, is there any evidence of anyone using the GCB in the past?
Well, okay. I don't think you can use the GCB. It's a question of like if we've normally justified our framework or not.
Okay. Starting prepping now. So what's the third argument then?
Regress. Every event has a cause, but there must be some uncaused cause that terminates the infinite regress. That's just the truest argument there is, honestly. Not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I agree. What's the fourth argument, Pascal's wager?
Yeah, so it's a question of like instrumental badness versus like intrinsic badness. The idea is that it's infinitely bad if you do not believe in the GCB because something like hell could exist, whereas in like if you do not believe in the GCB, so that means you should artificially try to believe in the GCB, so you don't just get like go to hell.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. What's the performativity argument?
Yeah, so like you can even read like you're talking about agency, right? But like who gave you agency?
Oh, the GCB.
Good guess.
What was his argument on the AF framework? It says like all impacts are like false, you're rejected on face.
Oh no, what you're talking about.
That's fine. What was the B point? Like you made a couple overview arguments on the comparative growth rule about. What was the B point?
I was just line by line your arguments and giving reasons for mine. So like, I don't know, like which. Oh yeah. All your stuff is like very contingent on fairness, which means like the only argument like you could possibly like go for is the Enoch evidence, but we've already proven why that's not true. So just value truth testing.
Wait, what are the reasons why it's not true?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, is debate does have certain constitutive rules, like as an activity in itself, because the affirmative affirms and the negative negates, which means that there are things that change. I'll agree with you, right? Like people didn't read like expositions like 10 years ago, but rather the idea is not like the exact nature of the activity itself is always changing, because there's always intrinsic things like 6 minutes of the affirmative speech, etc. Which means insofar as some things are intrinsic to the activity, like you speak and then I speak and we don't just like talk over each other, then LD debate has the intrinsic rules not changing.
Are there any obvious reasons why?
By operators, you mean like independent reasons to negate?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So the GCBNC, you should probably negate.
Okay.
Do you want more?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So we have a couple arguments in here. Yeah, sure. So the stuff on case, right? Independent reasons why we turn the app.
Okay, wait, no. I'm saying like in the 1NC document.
Oh, the document itself? Yeah, sure. So yeah, there's the argument that's like, in order to say you want to fix X problem, you must say you want that problem to exist.
Okay.
This requires the problem to exist itself. Those are like, and then like the offense under the GCBNC, that's like,
Okay.
like the stuff like negating this quo. You got it. Or you're telling yourself, right?
Yeah. Alright, stop that.
Cool. What's your order?
It's gonna be the AF.
Are there any nuance?
No.
Alright.
It's gonna be the AF starting on the overview, like the overview thing. Yeah. And then the framework, and then the rolled ballot. Framework, offense, rolled ballot. So pretty much just AF top down. And then his truth testing arguments.
Okay.
And then his truth testing arguments, and then GCB.
Okay. Alright, so just app top down, then truth testing, and then what else?
And then GCB.
I'm ready.
Is everyone good? First on the app overview, he didn't make any reasons why you should independently negate, but he made this argument why you should evaluate the debate after one and say one is that this is independently abusive and distribution by rejecting one face, because it means that I can't respond to your arguments because you're taking the engagement out of debate, which is a good such debate itself, because I use an independent reason to reject it, but that's the only reason why you should negate on to face there. But now on the F framework, first is that you can see that HG is constitutive of ethics means that HG is the only thing that can actually guide a normative obligation on your arguments. First you say tailoring objection maxims. One is that tailoring objection maxim assumes that the core maxim is actually true, but you can't just tailor random maxims. The core maxim is not true means that this argument doesn't make any sense. Now you say one is that in order to become a you use your HG gives me 7 pursue your ends in order to become an HG means that this means that HG controls internally this argument. Now you say GCP is necessary for GCP is only prior if we actually believe in reason because we need a reason to actually believe in GCP means that the context come prior. Now on the F roll about first is that I'm gonna go for the first I'm gonna go for the Enoch evidence's responses are not responsive. For example, the Enoch evidence says that debate has no constitutive rules. To say that something has constitutive, that means that it will never change in the future, or that means it will never change in the future. Obviously, debate can change in the future. For example, there's a clear example in for example, there's a clear example this year in PF they literally changed the summary speech to 3 minutes, which means that speech times are not constitutive. Rather, they can change in debate. Right? If people determine that speech times need to change, means that here's the only example in this speech was speech times. Means that you can respond to this argument as a reason by truth is not constitutive. Rather, every debate is a functionally new version. Means that you have to find the comparative rules of the arguments. Now the terms. First, you say tax rate. One is that no. One is that it's not forced taxation because it basically the question of the act of omission distinction. Actually, because the question of the act of omission is for example, they don't forcibly coerce them. Now, also I forgot to extend offense. We could just say that we could just extend at one point that you can just say at one point that it hinders the universal in the will because you can't actually use environmental resources if you are using fossil fuel subsidies. Now, the truthlessness stuff. First is not on logic. There's a winner and loser in debate, but that's not required. The better could win or for the active debate game. The fact that there's heated debate about what the purpose of the debate is, it should disprove the game analogy. Everyone knows that basketball is, so it's easy to point to the rules instead of follow, but the debate is unique to a discursive and educational nature. And 2 points on inclusion. You include all arguments, but that doesn't mean you're more inclusive. Where you justify a model where people read repugnant arguments against certain like anti-black positions, which is fundamentally exclusionary. And even if you win the inclusion argument, might roll about hijackers because we can trade truth or falsity in the lens of comparative worlds. Now you say constitutive. One is that there's no reason why constitutive matters. If I find myself playing chess, I would not be obligated to checkmate unless I had some reason to care about the rules of the game. And chess means that this means that this turns to the truth thing rolled back because we have to have a reason to care about the constitutive rules. Now you also say text, but one is that this is not fallacy because just because it defined doesn't mean this ought to be the case. Means that this turn this argument. Now you say that every argument concedes the authority of the judge, which is the independent voter. One is that this is not the independent voter because it doesn't provide even if you vote negative. It means that you should not vote for this argument. Now the GCP arguments. Also, he says GSP, but one is that if you solve a problem, that means the problem already exists. That doesn't mean you ought want to exist. That GSP is false because you're assuming that it already exists. Now GCP. One is that overreach to the GCP. One is that reason controls internally because we must have a reason to actually believe in the GCP in order to believe in the GCP. Now, 2 points that this is not a normal obligation because you can't force everyone to engage in GCP, but rather a reason is constitution of HC means that you can force everyone to engage in reason. Now, 3 points that we must have some conception of HC in order to answer this in the first place because we can only have HC in order because we only have HC in order to read your arguments out to perform your arguments down to your premise. One is that reason is not based on anything else. What is that reason not based on anything else because it's not material. Means that reason hypothesis argument. Also 2 points that the GCP is dependent on these means that we looked at this argument. Now on your premise 2, one is that actually no, I don't respond to the premise 2, but now the wolf arguments. One is that reason is a demand which means that controls actions in the reality because you can only set and pursue your ends in the reality. Now on the 2 point, one is that you say to accept your own beliefs, you must believe in your truth of life. One is that the reason is the belief in the first place. Rather GCP, you can always question the GCP, but you can't question reason because question reason just concede the order of reason means that it turns the app. Now on your regress argument, one is that reason is morality. Rather it's not regress, which means that because you can't infinitely question it. You need to Pascal's wager, but one is that this is consequential. This is consequential. It's not a question of morality. It's a question of what happens after you don't engage in the GCP, and you can see that consequences will fail. So you say performativity, but once that the GCP is unfavorable, whether they actually gave me agency or not, you can see the performativity argument coming out of that means that always because it's because 100% figure. You see the GCP is infinitely good, but goodness is like not verifiable.
Goodness is not verifiable.
Good stuff.
Okay, sure. I have like a minute left, starting now. Independent voters made other than actually no, you're fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. At the top, you made reason controls the internal link. Okay. You see, not a role of obligation. You can't force people to engage. What does that mean?
Wait, which
The
argument?
GCP.
At the top, the framing of the case? Sure. So you can't like force people to engage in the GCB because it's not constitutive of their actions. Rather, reason is constitutive of actions, that it's verifiable by the definition of reason. Rather, you just assert that the GCB controls
And
everything.
the response to regress was reason is not. Wait, what was the response to regress?
The response to regress is that if you cannot continually question regress, because you cannot continually question reason. That concedes the authority of reason.
Question reason, authority of reason. Okay, cool. Order is GCB at?
Starting on the after.
On the 1NC evaluate. Oh,
Evaluate the data.
you did.
Evaluate the data.
We'll see. I think they are.
Anything new?
I mean, like, I'll make responses to the 1AR arguments. Okay.
Anything new off of a document?
How are you starting on the NC?
Just like the syllogism, like the framework.
Is there a specific one?
You should start in regress. Okay. Okay, you good? Is anybody not good? Okay.
We're gonna go for the greatest conceivable being up. And see, for first you can send the regress argument says every event has a cause, but there must be some uncaused cause that determines the infinity regress of the GCB, which implies a determinism towards things are always put in motion, will always influence the subject of concept of life, because decision making is genetic or in a contingent on conjugate, which means we have no variable in the GCB equals everything. So we're gonna go for the regress argument. If we win that there's a risk that the GCB exists, then we're gonna win that the GCB is omnipotent. That insofar as they are omnipotent, that means that they're the utmost good, and the utmost good is something controls the link to everyone. Now here's the overview. Here's the argument we're gonna go for. We're gonna go for an argument that proves that the GCB exists, and if we win that the GCB exists, that means that they have the greatest conceivable being. Insofar as it's true, that means they have power over every single thing else, because that means they control everything, put everything else into action. As far as they're the utmost great being, this means that insofar as the truth is conceivable, which means they are omnipotent if a GCB exists. And insofar as they're omnipotent, that means that you can say that greatness is good in the godness. The only response you made is that great goodness is greater than badness was that goodness is not verifiable. However, this argument is not true. That insofar as you never justify people made an argument that goodness is something that's definitely inherently greater than badness, because badness is a lack of goodness, which means that something that necessarily outweighs as a power question, which means that if we win that the GCB exists, and that means that everything that it wills is the utmost good. As far as the omnipotent being, that means that it wills everything in the status quo, because nothing is out of its control, because it's omnipotent. Omnipotence means that it has power over every single thing, which means that insofar as it is omnipotent, that means that it wills in the everything in the status quo, and insofar as it's the utmost good, because it's the greatest conceivable being, and goodness is greater than badness, that means that whatever it wills in the status quo is good. So all I have to do is prove that a GCB must exist, or there's a risk that the GCB exists, and that means you vote negative on base. Now we're gonna go for the rest of the argument. The first the performance of your argument, one can see that insofar as this is necessarily hijacks your argument, you make the agency performance of your argument, but you can see that you are not here in the first place without the GCB willing you to have agency in the first place. The GCB is what created agency, as far as there must be an infinite regress. That necessarily takes that argument. Now we're gonna go for the over your argument. So you say reason controls the internal link. However, April, this conflicts with the distinction between their form of reason and practical reason. Whether the argument is that the practical reason is the ability to maybe make decisions or be able to reason, but it's not a question of reason in itself, like the question of logical reason, which means you're conflicting the difference between the two. This means you do not control the internal link. Secondly, if we're using reason to justify it, just because that means it's just a fallacy of origin. So just because reason can help you come to a conclusion does not mean that it's necessarily the prior question, or that's not the root cause of all your arguments. As far as the just because practical reason lets us come to a conclusion does not mean that we should care about practical reason. This is necessarily a prior question. Also, you say not a role of obligation. However, it's not, you can't force people to engage. However, it's not considered with their actions. Insofar as it's not a question of forcing engagement. Rather, if a GCB exists, then that means it's the utmost good. We will normatively justify why the GCB necessarily has to exist. Insofar as so we're gonna go to the premises. First, you say premise one is that everything exists, and that is not the GCB. That's potential for non-existence because of conditions for the existence. You say that reason is not based on anything else because it's not material. However, A1, just because the reason is not material doesn't mean that it matters. Just because it's not material doesn't mean it matters. Something must have put the idea of reason into existence, or the idea of being able to have a practical reasoning into the existence, which means the act of being able to reason or must have been put in existence, which means that reasoners are in themselves acceding to the GCB. Just because an abstract operator or principle does not mean that something did not come before, which means that there must be something greater that put it into existence, or something must put concepts into existence in the first place. This one can say, which means to say necessary prior question of the rest of the argument. Now, secondly, is the premise two that the GCB is not dependent on any precondition because it not be as great as possible, since being dependent would be good. And for example, we think humans are great in code because there will be no humans. Also, the GCB has no condition for existence necessarily exists because the condition for existence has been fulfilled, which means that there are zero steps that finish the task and the task is fulfilled. This means that you necessarily prove that it must exist insofar as it must be the greatest conceivable. And also the Pascal's major argument. Now, firstly, you say it's not a question of morality, rather it's a question of consequential. So that default to believe in GCB is the GCB will be infinite badness, which means it's not a question of consequence of badness, rather it's a question of infinite badness insofar as the GCB almost the utmost good, which means disobeyal of the utmost good is something that is intrinsically bad, which means that even if the consequence is bad, that's not the inherent nature nature. It's not a question of hell being something that's painful, rather it's a question of being away from necessarily goodness insofar as the GCB is the utmost good, which means that necessarily takes out their argument. So that means you're gonna get negating this go insofar as it's happening right on the opposite part, which means the GCB will then negative it's infinitely good. Also, you can see any better reason that's why you should reject them because not them as a favor, they reject the argument because it's impossible to eliminate subsidies since they just exist in other countries where the USMG doesn't have jurisdiction. This is an independent reason that's why the resolution something is incoherent because it was under the NC office. This means that you cannot invalidate any of the arguments, you just vote negative on presumption. You cannot eliminate subsidies insofar as you just still like this elimination means a complete removal of, which means they cannot do it, which means the resolution is incoherent, so you should vote negative on presumption, even if it's a comparative world better. The resolution makes literally no sense, which means that always now we're gonna know that GCB necessarily functions under comparative worlds insofar as the question of my world being better than your world. My world argues that we've normally justified why the status quo is something that is intrinsically good and inherently good, which means that there's something that functions in my world is better insofar as is the status quo insofar as the GCB is world, which means that is the most good. Now, an overview of the rest of their arguments insofar as we one regress must justify a greatest conceivable being, then that means that you cannot get access to any arguments because there is a risk that the GCB exists. Insofar as that's true, that means that we hijack all of your arguments. So let's go to the AC proper. First, you should reject non because it's taking engagement out of the debate. Right? The only impact you say is that the engagement matters. There's no warrant for why engagement matters. They never give any justification, so that means you shouldn't drop me. Secondly, you should evaluate the debate after the one and see as far as the key to reciprocity. And we'll see to their arguments that the reciprocity matters insofar as jurisdictional because you can send that out of their because you can't jurisdictional who the better debater is. Now, the only argument I made against is that the only argument I made against a jurisdiction being something that you should value is that it's not constitutive to the activity. However, we will concede that you should make it for the better debater, which means that reciprocity is something that's good. Insofar as it's true, that means you evaluate the debate after the one and see because we both get one speech on it. This one conceded, which means that reciprocity controls the internally gap. This one conceded, which means that under a comparative roles paradigm is better for reciprocity, which means that necessarily outweighs their arguments. And this means that you should not vote me down as far as there's no impact engagement. So here's how you find here's how you frame about under comparative roles for winning as far as you evaluate the debate after the one and see, which means as far as that the NC was not contested and I made arguments against it. That means that we have a risk of the overview of the rest of the arguments is that overview of the rest of the arguments is that the app framework is just relies on GCB willing you to exist in the first place, which means that necessary part goes, they're going to go for some hijack or some overview argument in the next piece, but the NC being incoherent. However, you should hang your hat on the fact that regress is something that necessarily solves for all their arguments because there must be something that powers the infinite regress. Infinite regress outweighs because a logical conclusion, which means that something must exist to put everything in existence. Now, these operative principles must have something that must put them in existence. Even if operative principles exist at the same time as God, it doesn't mean that they're contingent on anything, which means that they must be the GCB in themselves. Here's how you run the ballot. You should validate after the one and C, and the GCB controls the interlink to everything else because of performativity, Pascal's wager outweighs, and regress.
Starting prep now. You're just going to be the AF starting on the overview, then the AF like proper, and then the GCB and NC. Starting on this, starting on the a priori, and then top down.
On the NC?
Yeah.
Just like 2 minutes now. So AF, overview, NAF, neg, a priori, GCB. Got it.
Is everyone good? Cool.
On the evaluate debate after the one and two, you can say that I can't respond to your arguments because that's unreasonable because you can respond to my arguments. I can't respond to your arguments. Also, you should just reject this argument because it's still the argument. Obviously, it requires you to just evaluate the debate after one and and not evaluate any physics extensions because you can evaluate anyway. Now, the F was completely conceded. You can say that H is conceded to be also the, and you also see that the substitute for fossil fuels due to a contradiction in the will. Means that now the NC. Starting on a priori. First is that operators don't function on the compare rules. The 8 is that operators are only tautological statements. They don't prove whether a rule is actually desirable. Rather they just prove that a fact exists. But facts cannot be proven in a comparative rules. But facts cannot be proven in comparative rules because they don't actually prove whether the rule is desirable under a certain framework. Means that operators don't actually operators don't actually function. Also you should reject this. Also you should reject this. Also you should reject his his extrapolation of operators function on comparative rules because it's a neutral argument and I can't respond to the neutral because obviously I don't get neutral arguments now. The GCP argument proper. But anyway, the tautological argument takes us out, not the GCP proper. First is you should be first is that you should err heavily on this issue because he just extended a bunch of reasons in the 1SE, but in the 2.5 didn't actually engage with all of the arguments. First is that on the overview arguments, you can see the third point, which says that you must have some agent, which says that you must have some concept of agency to actually implement the GCP. For example, the GCP must have had some concept of agency in order to actually implement all the things that he or she controls, which means that that is the reason why agency controls the internal link to this, and that's the reason why you can automatically independently affirm on face. Now the reverse arguments. First is that you can see that it's a question of what. First is that you can see it's a question of what put the GCP in your mind. For example, the GCP needed reason, which means that controls the internal link. Also, key point is that reason is not based on the GCP because reason was just constitutive of human nature. You can see the constitutive claim, which says that you cannot question it, which means that reason is definitely reason definitely doesn't terminate an infinite reason. Now you say the GCP exists and it has power over every single thing. Obviously, the GCP cannot create reason without using reason in the first place. That is an infinite reason why you automatically affirm this argument. Also, you say it's omnipotent, but obviously if it was omnipotent, then it would have given reason to things like animals and chairs, but obviously it didn't, which means that it's not omnipotent and can't give reason to everything. It means that takes out this argument specifically. Now, on the 11 arguments, first you say that just because actually all of his arguments are defensive now, so now I'm just gonna go for the overview arguments. First you say I'm gonna go for the norm normative obligation argument. When you say it's not constitutive of actions, for example, if the GCP exists, then you can have a normative obligation. But you say while you're extending this argument that you'll justify it later in the speech, and you never do because obviously you cannot force people to engage in the GCP since the GCP is not constitutive of their agency, but rather acting upon reason is constitutive of agency. By the way that we define it, by the way that we define reason means that we control the internal link of all of your other arguments. Now I'm also going to go for the reason controls the internal link argument. So we must have a reason to believe in the GCP. You say that it completes the distinction between logical and moral reason. No, it's a question of you must have a reason. It's a question of you must have a reason to believe in the GCP. I.e., you must set and pursue an end to believe in the GCP in the first place. That is a question of the moral reason. Now you say it's a fallacious order because it comes to a conclusion. No, this is just saying that reason controls the internal link to this. Not saying that reason comes from it. It's just saying that reason controls the internal link. It's not a fallacious order.
I'm just closing. I forgot to sign it.
Didn't
Yeah, you're right.